Zambia's Luangwa River, a trickle of hope in a drought-ravaged land. Survival here means seizing every opportunity to make it through a deadly season. In southern Africa, a fickle lifeline snakes through the Luangwa Valley. In summer, it's unstoppable. 800 meters wide, deep and powerful. In winter, it shrinks. In places, it's only ankle deep to a hippo. Flood and drought constantly carve its banks. As the Luangwa River courses 800 kilometers from the Zambian highlands to the Zambezi River, it never cuts quite the same path. But one thing never changes: its power over life and death in the valley. High summer. Daily thunderstorms tear across Luangwa's skies. The sodden land drains into the river, which rises in a matter of hours. Taking the wildlife by surprise. It traps these puku antelope, turning their sandbank into an island, surrounded by scores of 3-meter Nile crocodiles. Their chances fade as fast as the water rises. Puku are sprinters, not swimmers, and they have nowhere left to run. The survivor races to rejoin the herd. In the wet season, this is a valley of plenty. As the swollen river drains, it leaves isolated lakes, rich pockets of diversity. Vast carpets of water cabbage sprawl across their surface. Animals of all kinds feast on the greenery. Thanks largely to the hippos. Their dung nourishes the plants and fish, which feed everything else. Pods of hippos lounge under the watchful eye of their dominant bull. He'll bully the other males to remind him who's the boss. But in this big lake, he's easy to avoid. These are Luangwa's salad days. Full of food and opportunity. This is a breeding herd of female elephants. The little ones stay close, because danger is never far away. This young female has wandered from the herd, but she doesn't go unnoticed. She's in season and has caught the eye of this lone wandering bull. At 7 tons, he could hurt her. So he balances delicately. He'll mate with every receptive cow in the herd before he moves on. A matriarch, usually the oldest female, guides the herd, but all the cows pitch in to raise the calves. This cow is nearing the end of her 22-month pregnancy. The hardest part is still ahead of her. As summer's abundance fades away. Autumn. The mighty river retreats, turning paradise into parched desert. Temperatures grow cooler, but the harsh sun beats down without mercy. 3 weeks into the drought, the lakes begin to shrink. After 5, the hippos are homeless. They can't pant or sweat. They need cooling water to stay alive. It's time to head to the only reliable source, the Luangwa River, or what's left of it. Some 6,000 hippos are forced to crowd together. They form the densest hippo population on Earth. Small pods merge into megapods. Each one under the iron rule of its dominant bull. 2,700 kilograms of bone and muscle. This guy's a titan with a temper. He has to be. Other males will kill to claim his rank. For he alone may mate with his pod's cows. He tolerates only the most submissive males in his pod, the ones that won't try to mate. Cows, fiercely protective of their calves, stay clear of the bulls. But this defiant young bull is determined to break the rules and mate with the alpha's cows. They rebuff him. The commotion alerts the alpha bull. And the fate of the rival depends on what happens next. By attempting to mate, the rival hippo has committed the cardinal sin. It could cost him his life. Outmuscled by the big bull, the rival cuts his losses and retreats. He's banished from this pod. But what's catastrophic to some animals is a boon to others. Carmine bee-eaters from across southern Africa have flown hundreds of kilometers just in time for the drought, which exposes Luangwa's enormous sandbanks. Steep enough to foil predators, but soft enough for burrowing. The cliffs are prime real estate. Competition is fierce. Each wet season washes away their nests, so they must start again. The males settle turf wars in the air. Rivals wheel out over the water and race back to nab the top spots. Some sore losers won't take no for an answer. With land claims settled, the banks become a honeycomb of nests, where eggs stashed 6 feet in are safe from harm. But the adults are exposed. As they hunt for insects, African fish eagles hunt for them. The elephants stick by the river looking for fodder, which gets harder to find every day. Once they've picked the banks bare, they must venture further from the river and into dangerous territory. Lions can easily take down an elephant calf that wanders away from its herd. Just the sight of the pride enrages them. An angry elephant can be deadly. The pride won't risk losing its cubs if the herd gets spooked. The lions move on to look for an easier meal. But it won't be so simple. As long as shallow pools dot the landscape, their prey is spread far and wide across the valley. The pride splits up to cover more ground. This pair hits the jackpot, a buffalo herd. But buffalo are still a tall order for a pair of hungry lions. Those sharp horns mean business. They can gut an assailant. A calf might be easier if they can get past the parents. Mother Buffalo is fierce, but she's got nothing on Dad. Tonight, the pride goes hungry. With each passing day, the valley gets more and more parched. The exiled hippo, deprived of the river for days, suffers a torment worse than thirst. Oxpeckers, which normally keep ticks at bay, have become a curse. They're draining blood from the sores on his skin. Hippos secrete a cooling sunscreen, but it costs them precious water, and the sun is baking him alive. Only water can save him. And there's not much of that left. Crocodiles, one of Africa's deadliest predators, hold an uneasy truce with the feisty hippos. The weakened exile might make an easy target, but these crocs are here for something else. The shrinking pool has left these sharp-toothed catfish high and dry. Some marabou storks join the feast. Great white pelicans spot them from their lookout and crash the party. Their 15-liter throat pouches make great fishing nets. Trouble is, their stomachs hold barely 4 liters. Anything larger must squirm to death in the birds' throats. Yellowbills catch wind of the feast. And jostle for their share. Juvenile fish eagles take a more hit-and-run approach. While the birds feast, the exiled bull starves. And the hungry lions have taken an interest. The lion pride needs a kill, though they'd have to be desperate to tangle with a hippo, even an exhausted one. The hippo's ferocious reputation carries that much clout. But the ailing bull knows it's time to leave. He needs to find food. No rain has fallen for months. Grazing is all but gone, and herbivores step closer to starvation. But on the riverbank, salvation. A tree that defies the drought and blossoms. When there's almost nothing left to eat, the sausage tree drops its crop. Each fruit, actually a giant berry, can weigh up to 7 kilograms. Just half a dozen would keep the exiled bull alive a few more days. But they're so tough and fibrous, he'll be chewing for hours. In the cool of the night, life changes for the hippopod. The dominant bull is not so tough in the dark. His entire pod leaves the river to feed on land. The exile is still chewing on his fruit. But his time is up. He's in no shape to compete for these pickings. Fruits and flowers aren't the only meal under the sausage tree. The parade of herbivores left a gift for a large spotted genet. When prey is scarce, dung will do. But fresh prey would be better. Lucky for him, this drying waterhole has betrayed its inhabitants. The drought's done the genet a favor. At least tonight. Spring hits the valley. Temperatures soar past 37 degrees Celsius. It bakes the sparse grazing grounds left on the Luangwa's banks. The elephants have to leave the river or starve. They've picked all but the highest branches bare. The times are especially desperate for the pregnant cow. She needs more food than ever. Torn between hunger and thirst, they travel up to 80 kilometers from the river to the nearest foraging. Each adult must find around 90 kilograms of food each day. These bitter shrubs are a last resort. Only a few animals can stomach them. But they're all the elephants have to get through the worst of the dry season. They've gone days without a drink. And the matriarch urgently needs to lead them to water. The calves are especially at risk. The last of the life-giving water holes are now muddy puddles. Too little. And maybe too late. There's no time for rest. They must make it back to the river. The shrunken Luangwa sustains life for the valley's desperate animals. But it's also a death trap. The lions no longer have to search for prey. They just stake out the river and make their choice. The mothers have seen the danger. Tension is high, and tempers run hot. They even lash out at each other. They stay no longer than necessary. Forming a wall around the calves, they head out to find food again. And leave the lions with a parting shot. But today, the pride's not interested in them. Their favorite target is now in range. A half-ton African buffalo can feed the entire pride for a week. But infiltrating a herd of 300 takes strategy and patience. They must time the attack perfectly. They secretly shadow the herd and wait until nightfall. The buffalo sense the lions closing in, but can't see them. Taunts from the darkness put the buffalo on edge. The lions are trying to cause panic. Panic leads to mistakes. The pride pulls the net tighter. The buffalo have nowhere to go. The lions must feed through the night. When the sun rises, they'll have dozens of visitors. It can take 24 hours for the pride to sleep off a big meal. They'll barely move for the next 4 days. Digesting an entire buffalo is hard work. But they can't let the leftovers go to waste. One unlucky lioness must stand guard. She won't be lonely. Vultures can spot a carcass from 32 kilometers away. A crowd of them can pick it clean in half an hour. But not on her watch. The scavengers would try anyone's patience. Sometimes you just have to accept you're outnumbered. The drought reaches its peak, leaving much of the river dry and hippopods stranded. Females easily join new pods, but males need to fight for a place or slump in the dregs of vanishing pools, tormented by scorching sun and burning thirst. The exile still clings to life, even as so many others fall. But he's out of options. To survive, he needs to return to his old pod. A thin stream of the once mighty river still runs. The alpha bull still clings to his stretch, but barely. Brawling has reached an all-time high, and the dominant bull is the worst of the bunch. Oxpeckers feast on the wounds he's inflicted, picking at open cuts to keep fresh blood flowing. Wounds can't heal, and blood loss, pain, and infection wear the herd down. It's even worse for the young exile. He'll die if he can't rejoin the river. But he could also die trying. He tries to slip in unnoticed, but the alpha bull spots him. He's busted. Confronted by the dominant bull, the exile grovels shamelessly. But the bull won't let him off without a fight. It could be his last. Submission is his only hope. And then it's over. The exile is finally allowed home. It might still be too late for him and for the whole pod. The rains should have come a month ago. Instead, only more sun, more death. Lions kill only if they have to. With carcasses littering the landscape, life's a buffet. But if the drought persists, next season will be lean. The curse is broken. The landscape floods in a matter of weeks. The Luangwa swells to 20 times its former flow. The carmine bee-eaters have fled, and the river swallows up their nests once more. Luangwa's time of plenty returns, and with it, new life. The herd has a new addition. The pregnant cow weathered the drought and delivered her calf into a green world. But soon enough, he'll face his first dry season. The formerly exiled hippo has time to rebuild his strength within the safety of the pod. Maybe he'll soon be strong enough to conquer the dominant bull. The lions have done so well, they can afford to take it easy. But not for long. Their hard times come now. Hunting in the wet season is much more difficult as their prey spreads out. Not all animals are lucky enough to claim the rewards of the wet season. For those that make it this far, life in Luangwa is as good as it gets.